Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Jabroni Drive. On this week's episode, War Games recap, Randy Orton returns, the Creed brothers, Drew McIntyre, Judgment Day, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. Will this be the greatest episode in the history of Jabroni Drive? I think so. Timmy, anything you want to say to all the Schmidt-Lavellites out there?
Silence your phones. Turn off your cameras. Because WWE stands for War with Alliance.
I love it.
We miss Elias, Tom, don't we?
We do miss Elias. And we brought him up earlier today, just me and you talking. What a guy he was. And what a show we have lined up for you today. Before we get into it, we want to say thank you for listening. If you're not already doing it, this is your time. Go hit that subscribe. Go hit that follow. Go hit those notifications. Turn them on. We love you. We need you on all our social media platforms, on all our sites, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anything that you can find us on. Give us that follow. Help us grow the show. A big episode coming up and a lot to cover. Timmy, let's jump right into it.
Cheers, Tom.
Timmy, let's talk about that real quick. We had quite possibly
real quick.
We're going to get into the whole thing.
You want to talk about that real quick, Tom? You want to talk about that real quick, Tom? Tom, there's nothing that we can talk about real quick about that moment in WWE.
I agree. History. We're going to spend a lot of time on that today. But I just a phrase that, real quick. Let's get into it. You know what I mean? Okay. But obviously, the news of the weekend, the biggest news of the year, the return of
R-Truth,
Mr. CM Punk. Timmy, we were there watching at the HJB Arena, and what a moment. What a time to be a professional wrestling fan. And we know there's been some casual fans that are just starting to kind of tune back in. And what a time for them to tune back in. This is exciting stuff. One of the biggest moments in the history of the WWE took place this past weekend with CM Punk returning after 9+ years being away. The drama, the backstage issues, the other organization in AEW, UFC, podcasts, shit talk, lawsuits, so much going on in all of this stuff. And what a moment and what a time to, first and foremost, I was after Saturday night, like I couldn't sleep. I was up. I was fired up. I'm jacked up. The heart rate was going. We jumped off our seats. I can't fucking believe it. I can't believe it. He's back. HJB has been scouring the internet for months. Every PLE, something big's happening, blah, blah, blah. And boy, did it ever deliver this past Saturday. What did you think of that moment as someone that
credit, finally, credit to the HJB who has predicted a major event to happen at every Raw, SmackDown, and PLE episode over the course of the last 8 months. He has predicted something to happen, and finally he got it right. So HJB, shout out to you, bud, for getting this CM Punk thing.
Our insider.
Right. I mean, he hit it right on the nose.
Timmy, what'd you think? As someone that just kind of got back in it, like, that's an epic moment.
Yeah. So it is an epic moment, and I think for me, okay, as a guy that has just gotten back into the fold, and I don't know how long I can get away with saying that, Tom, since I've been almost a year in now.
Right.
But CM Punk has been a guy that has always been spoken about in the wrestling, rooms, in the dialogue and everything that has been about wrestling. CM Punk is always included. Okay. He's a guy that I don't know much about since pretty much his reign as an employee of the WWE, and I guess he was in the Ring of Honor before that in ECW. He was in those different promotions for an extended period of time. I never got to see any of his matches. And yeah, just watching, scouring the internet and seeing stuff through Instagram, I see like little different pieces of things that he's done, and he seems like an accomplished wrestler, and he's done a lot of things over the years. And the main thing with CM Punk is he is a lightning bolt for the wrestling industry. He is controversial. He sparks an emotion in a lot of people that tune into this stuff. And not only that, he does it to the people that he works with too as well. So you good?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good. I'm just looking up some stuff. Keep going.
So it's just really it's cool to see it all come to fruition. I know, he's got a lot of momentum from the AEW, and there's a lot of shit that happened over there. We talked about that on the podcast, I think, a little bit ago when he got fired from AEW, and Tony Khan, right?
Yes, Tony Khan.
Fired him from
Nick Khan's with WWE. Sometimes I get them confused, Nick and Tony Khan, because of their last name, but Nick's with WWE, and Tony Khan owns AEW, him and his
right.
family.
So Tony Khan fired him a couple months ago, and it's just really kind of cool to see what happens with these wrestlers, and it really follows the storyline of a lot of other wrestlers in the past that have really broken ties with WWE, that really either just rubbed the WWE the wrong way, or decided to go off their own, or whatever, and eventually found their way back. And it's cool that the WWE was able to do this, because look, there's a lot of momentum going around in the wrestling universe with Ospreay signing with the AEW, and they just came off this huge, pay-per-view with all the blood, and like there was just like this crazy like match, and it just,
With
there's a lot of
Swerve and
them.
Hangman Page, where he's
Yeah,
drinking the blood, stapling
right.
something to his face. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not that I don't think the WWE had to do something drastic at all. I felt like if they just stayed the course, it would be fine. But they go out and they make this splash, and they bring in CM Punk at Survivor Series in Chicago, in his hometown. And Tom, it was one of the biggest pops
You'll
that
ever
I've
see.
ever heard. And I think it was more of like a holy shit pop than it was expected, because we didn't expect it. No one expected it.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick, Timmy. What a great job WWE did with that, and we were questioning how they were rolling out Randy Orton and his return on Monday Night Raw when Cody announced we will have this. And that was all strategically done to bring eyes to Survivor Series War Games, because they knew they had the ace in the hole. And even at Survivor Series War Games with, is Randy going to show up? So it gives Randy a chance to get his pop when he's coming out. Is he going to show up? Is he going to show up? His music hits, huge pop, place goes crazy. And then the match ends. You think, all right, that's a nice PLE, good moment, entertaining matches. We got our story, and then boom, the bomb drops and the place goes bananas. Kudos to
I walked.
WWE doing that correctly, because in the years prior, they would have fucked that up.
Yeah, and I walked away. I walked away from the screen, and you know this because we watched it together. We had a nice, like you said, we were at HJB Arena, which for our viewers is our buddy's house. It's not arena, it's just a house, but it
The HJB's house. Yep.
but I got up after that the War Games match ended, and I was like, all right, well, I mean, nothing's happening here. And I started walking away to grab another beer, and the music hits, and you, the HJB, Zach, and the HJB's kid were off the couch higher than I could imagine. I never seen
White men can
like,
jump.
dude, you guys were
You want to see white men jump? Have CM Punk come out as a surprise.
you guys are ecstatic. And I don't know the music like you guys know it. I wasn't expecting any of that stuff. So like I didn't understand it. And then I seen it and I'm like, well, the one thing that I thought was like, they're fucking with this crowd. Like that's what I was thinking. I was thinking like, all right, like someone's got to be fucking with this crowd by playing the music. I've seen this before, like where Shawn Michaels comes out and plays like Bret Hart's music, or
Right.
you know, like Paul Heyman plays CM. I think Paul Heyman did before, where he played CM Punk's music and he never came out. But I was blown away, and I'm sitting there like, this isn't real, like this isn't happening. And then all of a sudden, you see him walk out, and you're like, whoa,
Holy shit.
this is real, and this is major. And the thing that now opens up the door for everything and anything, Tom. And whether you're a CM Punk fan or you're not, and I'm not on one side or the other, Tom, because I don't know this dude from Adam. Like he might as well be an NXT wrestler coming up, because I never seen him wrestle, but I know his story because I have a podcast partner that absolutely hates him. So, and I'm sure we're going to hear on it, but it just opened up a lot of avenues. And I think you said this before on one of our episodes, Tom. It's good for wrestling that he's back in
100%.
And whether that sparks an interest, I think it's going to. And I'm looking forward to seeing what plays out. I never seen him in the ring, and I'm looking forward to seeing him wrestle.
Right. And so before I kind of get into like some thoughts on Punk and stuff like that, I want to say this: Survivor Series was the most viewed Survivor Series of all time, largest gate in Survivor Series history. Survivor Series merchandise sales record set a record. Sponsorship revenue up 24% since last year. CM Punk return was the most social moment in the history of the WWE. So, one, I will say this: WWE's been trending this way. It's every PLE that we have, SummerSlam, it was the same thing. Biggest SummerSlam of all time. WrestleMania was the biggest of all time. All these events have been
WrestleMania 40 already sold out, sold all the records already.
Right. So we already had a huge fire going, and they just came and threw some gasoline on that fire with the signing of CM Punk. And like you mentioned, it's just great for professional wrestling. Now, I am not a fan of CM Punk. It's pretty, if you've listened to the show before, it's pretty obvious that I'm not a huge fan of CM Punk. There's a lot of things that go with CM Punk that I had watched for years. And so it's a tricky situation, but that's what makes the appeal so much more, because of the sour taste when he left, of the bad blood between him, Vince, Triple H, several wrestlers in the back, the lawsuit, the trip to UFC, going to the company that is trying to come up and compete with the WWE, his problems there, a lot of stuff that has been done by CM Punk, it comes across as very selfish behavior. And I'm not a fan of that. And the backstage issues, there's a line between doing what's right for the company and what's right for your character and being a selfish asshole to your coworkers.
Okay. All right. So before you go on your rant and your documentation on CM Punk's history, which I know is coming because you told me you typed out almost a manifesto, if you will.
Well, I did some research
hold on,
today.
Hold on.
Okay.
So tell me what would change your mind. What would a successful run in the WWE look
It's
for
already
you?
successful.
No, it's not. It's not. No, it's right. It's a start. But what would change your mind about CM Punk? What would he have to do in your eyes to make him a viable WWE superstar in the WWE, a guy that is on the same level as a Cody Rhodes, the same level as a KO, or whoever it may be, a mainstay? What would sway you in that direction?
Well, on the mic, he's already at that level, you know? Now, whether or not the stuff he says is bullshit it doesn't matter because it brings in the views and it brings in the audience, and his persona and his personality, the polarizing personality that it is a draw. I mean, he's a draw. There's no doubt about it. Now, he's more of a draw now than he ever was when I was watching him with WWE. He is bigger now than he ever was. And so that's something I've kind of over the last couple of days I'm trying to like come to grips with and like realize what kind of draw he's bringing to the WWE. And so that's important that he's doing that, and that's like kudos to him to be able to do that, especially with his, quote unquote failures in the UFC and AEW. People want him there, and that's the name of the game. And he draws emotion, whether it's an emotion from me not liking him or an emotion from you just getting used to seeing him and like now being like, wow, what is he offer? Or an emotion from HJB, who's a huge, like his number one fan. It's like, those are the emotions that he brings to the table, and that's the most important thing to do. And it's a different type of emotion. Like Cody brings that like heart and that kind of just that classic good guy idea of a WWE wrestler. Like he's like the prototype, and Punk is just like the outsider that is, just it's the train wreck. It's something you have to see.
It's almost like a leech.
Well, he's done a lot of things, and look, if Triple H is willing to bring this guy in and bring him on, I'm on board with what Triple H wants to do. You know what I mean? The person he would have the most beef with is Hunter, and Vince is quote unquote out of it now, but like he drug Hunter through the mud, basically painted him as this lackey that just was like a doofus that did whatever Vince wanted to do and this and that. And that's part of what like what's that?
We've read that Tony or Nick Khan was the orchestrator to bring him back.
Right. And I'm sure that in the back, I'm sure these years and these times, and especially the last 2 years, there's been a lot of humble pie that Punk has had to eat and a lot of shit that he's gone through that made him maybe realize the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and that maybe, they talked about how people can change, and maybe his mentality going forward and the way he's going into this situation is a changed man, and I hope it is. And I think he's going to be great for business. I just, when I talk to you and I talk to the HJB about it, I kind of like am pleading my case to like where my feelings are at with CM Punk, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to
Sure.
justify why I disliked him. Part of the reason why I disliked him is because naturally, as like, I don't know why, my whole life, it's when people are like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm always like, nah, I don't like it. Or when they say, oh, this sucks, I'm like, you know what? I kind of like it. You know what I mean? So, like, when Roman Reigns was getting booed out of the building at Royal Rumble in Philadelphia, I was like, I like that guy. Like, I'm backing Roman Reigns now just to kind of be that devil's advocate. That's just where I've been. And Punk, I think my feelings on him were justified at the end of his run with WWE because he was burnt out. I listened to that Colt Cabana podcast that he had put out right after the lawsuit finished with WWE. He had left the company. He puts out a 2 hour long podcast just dragging the whole company, the wrestlers, accusing people of steroids, accusing people of medical malpractice, accusing people of these heinous things in WWE and what a terrible company it is to work with. And all I heard was this guy was burnt out. He was the champion of WWE, and he's upset that he has a match against The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And it's like, how did he get there? I almost felt bad for him. I'm like, this guy was so out. He was so burnt out and like so just done. He needed to leave the company. And it's just that's why I was, because he had that selfish, like, everything was just like a pain in the ass, a thorn. He was just a bug to everybody. And I'm like, well, of course people don't want to work with you. You're a fucking dickhead. And so then I just got in my head like, this guy's a dickhead. I want nothing to do. Like, he's an asshole. Fuck Punk. He sucks. Whatever. And then he goes to AEW and he has his issues there. And I'm just like, see, that's exactly what it is. But I'm going, Timmy, I've turned over a new leaf. I'm going, me and CM Punk are on a clean slate. We're starting anew. It's me and CM Punk. I feel like I'm excited for his run moving forward. And I want to get into what he is going to offer the company now. Forget the past. If we want to do a history lesson on Punk in the future and you really want to dive into it, I would suggest listening to that Colt Cabana podcast. It's from 2014. It's a couple hours long, but he really dives in, and it's cool as a wrestling fan to see the behind the scenes. And he does make a lot of valid points with where the company was as far as Vince being out of touch, the lackeys that he did have working for him, a John Laurinaitis, Michael Hayes. These guys are just they were stuck in that old school act. And part of me thinks like, okay, that old school mentality, like Undertaker, Stone Cold, these guys have wrestled with freaking broken necks. Kurt Angle were just doing their thing. And he's like, hey, I'm not doing this, blah, blah, blah. And then calling them assholes for, you know what I mean? I was like, of course they don't like you. They have an old school way of doing things. But I don't know, Timmy, is there anything else I should say on that? I just, like I said, I kind of want to move forward with Punk. And I can't say that I'm not excited to see where this is going. Like, this is what being a
Well,
professional
the one
wrestling
thing
fan is all about.
I said, the one thing that I did notice about you, Tom, you had a little jump in your step and your giddy up when you saw Punk come out. And the true wrestling fan came out in you, regardless of your opinions of Punk in the past, which was cool. Um,
Right. He brought out that like childlike, holy shit, like, you know what I mean? You don't get those moments very often like in professional wrestling, you know?
yeah. I mean, Tom, you you made the HJB rewind it like I think 6 times.
Well, I'm addicted to the pops.
And dude, it's just it's really incredible to see something like that when a crowd, and you again, you don't know how a crowd's going to react, and it it felt so crazy because it just seemed like the end, and we all were resonated to the fact that this isn't happening. We
Right.
kept on saying the whole night, like, get it out of your head. Punk is
Right.
not coming back. Like, this is a ridiculous thought. Like, if anything, it's Orton. Orton will come back. And then they they did such a great job with like, like Randy's not coming, and you're like, oh shit, what does that mean? Like,
Is it
what
Punk? Is it actually Punk? Yeah,
is Punk
right.
like what like so like yeah, and it was really cool how they kind of drug that around and they kept us in the dark. And then, dude, when it was time to hit, it hit and it hit big. And my God, did they get the reaction that they were looking for? Because shit, dude, it was enormous.
And Timmy, can we
And,
just again talk about real quick? Like, we really need to give credit to the creative guys, the WWE, because I'm telling you, and I know you're getting back in, and I know you've seen the past and like Attitude Era, but I mean, there was a stretch, and this is part of where CM Punk was right, that the WWE, they would have fumbled this. They would have screwed it up. It would have been like, guess who's back? They would have announced it. This Saturday, CM Punk is going to be in Chicago. You know what I mean? And like, it would have ruined that surprise, like kind of what we thought what they did with Orton. You know what I mean? That's how they would have done it.
and
And
then and
kudos to them, like in building this to have it be that crescendo. Like
and the
WWE has done great.
and also the way they played the Orton thing back and forth too was like really a masterclass because you thought that like you would get the pop from Orton, right? That you got from CM Punk. You're like, all right, well, his music's gonna hit, and like without him, like if he wasn't announced, right? Like that's what you would expect from Orton. Like, bang, his music hits, Orton comes out, boom, major hit, and then he announces it, and you're like, why would you do that? Like,
Right.
why would you do that? And it was seriously, it was more of like the what's the Trojan horse, right? You roll the Trojan horse into the castle. Oh my God, the size of that thing, and then all of a sudden, when everyone's sleeping, they're like, "Oh, it's Randy Orton." Boom! Out of the horse comes fucking CM Punk, and it's an absolute surprise to everybody, and it's nothing. And I will give credit to, and I don't even know if he credit, but Randy Orton is such a professional that he knows what's going on, dude. Like he is aware of the situation. I'm sure he was told what was happening, right? Like because they wouldn't have drug his re-entrance, his re-emergence, like they did to him without telling him, hey, look, we got a big deal here. You've been a player for years and years and years and years, but like you have an opportunity to make a major splash here. Like you are one of our go-tos, but like this is going to be a big moment. And you know what? He came out, and whether he liked it or not, his return was upstaged by CM Punk's, and you don't see him crying, you don't see him bitching. There's nothing. He's an ultimate professional about it, and he carried himself the right way. He comes out on Raw, he gets his accolades, comes out, he does his little, dude. It's just to see Randy Orton back too. That dude shredded. He's an absolute maniac, and he's a breath of fresh air too, right? Like adding him to the fold. It's like, dude, you just we talked about the Phillies so much in the off season, right? And then we talked about what moves are they going to make at the deadline, and
They
dude,
just signed Otani and Trout.
well, not, I mean, well, not even that. Like they have, it's very similar to what the Phillies did. Like they had Bryce Harper, who's an All-Star MVP caliber player, that was on the bench, and then boom, at right before the All-Star break, they're rolling back out. Hey, by the way, don't forget, we got this guy, and
Right.
that's what the WWE just did with Randy Orton. Hey, by the way, we got this absolute stud who's been, a 14-time major champion, and
John
you know,
Cena says he's the Shawn Michaels of his era. You know,
and
the best in the ring of his
and
era.
the craziest part about it is, and let me know if I'm wrong. he's better than anything that the AEW has on their roster.
I mean, it depends on what you want to, how you want to define better, but he's right at the top. You know what I mean? I mean, you could say that a lot of people think Bryan Danielson is one of the best in the world. Will Ospreay, with all his 5-star matches, just signing with them, and
regardless.
Kenny
But I'm
Omega.
saying,
But I know what you're saying. He's got it all.
power.
Yeah.
He's got the cachet. He's got it. And it's like,
Right.
hey, he's been on your roster and you just added him back. That's it. So,
Right.
it's just an incredible time. Like, the WWE is hitting on all cylinders since I've come back, since I've been watching. We've seen maybe 2 PLEs that we thought that were just okay, but everything else has been pretty fucking good, dude. Pretty good. And leads to a lot of questions right now. Tom,
Right. So let me play this clip real quick, and we're going to get into Randy Orton a little bit more, but we got so much to cover now with Punk coming back. But let's play a big clip from his promo Monday Night Raw 2 nights after his debut or his return at Survivor Series.
Some people are afraid. They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of what they don't understand, but I understand. Everything I've ever wanted has always been here. The competition here, week in and week out, competes to be the best in the world, but the best in the world has not been here for almost 10 years. I understand being afraid. They're afraid that I just set the bar to an unattainable level. They're afraid that the brass ring is in my back pocket and they can't grab it. They're afraid that the most dangerous and controversial, feared man in this industry just walked through the front door and there's nothing that they can do about it. Some people are afraid that tomorrow morning when they wake up, they're going to have to come to terms with the fact that their best efforts at being the best in the world, in this ring, on this microphone, even at commentary, isn't just false, but it's a lie. Because the best in the world is back, and the best in the world is standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color in Nashville, Tennessee, on a Monday night, and his name is...
I mean, that is pretty good. And Timmy, a lot of truth in there. If you're in the locker room and now you know this guy and you just see what he brought back, the power of the social media influence right there, the spread that went out and what he's going to do, everyone is in the back like, I got to step my game up even more than what they had already done. So let's get into where we think he's headed. He took, I guess, some shots saying that everyone was happy to see him except for one person. Now, he didn't name that person, but we have an idea of who it was. One Mr. Seth Rollins, and let's hear something that he had to say.
Go on, come on, come on, come on, yeah, come on. Oh, is that all you got, CM Punk fans? Come on. Yeah, get it out of your system. Get it out of your system, because I'll tell you what, I don't want to spend one more second, one more ounce of energy on that hypocrite.
Clearly, he's talking about Seth Rollins. Is this where we're headed? CM Punk versus Seth Rollins.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's clear. It's clear as a yellow brick road here, Tom, because dude, Seth Rollins, if you watch that promo, okay, in the middle of it, Seth has been beloved for over a year and change, right? Since he's done the song and he's doing this and all that, right? Like, and for those that are just listening, like, Seth gets to the ring and he basks himself into the glory of the song in the middle of the ring. That's what I was doing. And for the first time in a long time, you heard people not singing this song. People stopped singing this song and started chanting CM Punk in the middle of the ring when he's doing his song thing. Like, it was really cool to see. Like, wow,
And
this
I
is a
thought he
different
handled
thing.
himself well there.
Oh, he did, and that's what is great about Seth Rollins that
Right.
you don't respect because you think Seth Rollins is just a ruse.
My
But
God, you guys just make shit up so bad. It's
yeah,
incredible.
okay,
You do.
but
I
look,
mean, what I've said in the past is that Seth Rollins in ring had never delivered a master match. He did finally with Drew McIntyre. I've been watching this guy his whole career. I called Seth Rollins being the next guy years ago when he was just joining with the Shield, by the way, who CM Punk said he invented. And I said his matches after the injuries have always been going through the motions. There's never been an amazing match, and his best match ever was with Drew McIntyre a month ago at wherever the hell it was. Was it Crown Jewel? Whatever. Seth Rollins' character, for the most part, I've always liked. See, I've been through Seth Rollins as the Messiah. I've been through Seth Rollins as the architect. Do you remember those times? The architect, the Messiah,
I know the visionary,
the visionary, the revolutionary.
the revolutionary.
Yeah, right. So
I know Seth friggin' Rollins.
I gave Seth Rollins credits when he was cutting promos against John Cena, when he beat John Cena for the United States champion and was a double champ.
Okay,
I'm
all
just
right.
saying, I'm a
Stop.
huge fan of Seth Rollins. I'm very critical of him, though.
All right, so stop getting hurt. Okay. Let's just
Well, let's
dive
not
in.
make things up. I mean, you're saying you're putting words in my mouth. It's just,
All right, fair enough. But you're still a Seth Rollins hater. Regardless,
I'm a fan.
yeah, you're a fan. All right,
I
all
am.
right. So regardless, what I'm trying to say is that he finally has something or someone that is going to cut into what he already is, right? He is this visionary. He's a revolutionary, right? And he's got this whole thing going. And everyone knows about his comments on CM Punk. And now they're being forced back on him. And there's there's a fan base out there for CM Punk that he's going to have to deal with. And he's not going to get the same level of respect and the same level of revelry, you will, every time he comes to the ring, because there's people just like CM Punk more. And they hate what Seth Rollins has said about him. And it's going to create such a great dynamic. And if the WWE doesn't take advantage of this, they're idiots. So, again, I've never seen Punk wrestle. I plan on watching some matches over the weekend just to check it out, to see what his style is and all that other stuff. But I think this is an opportunity to really add to Seth's legacy, because it's an opportunity to have a really just epic feud, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you talk about like the all-time feuds in WWE history. You talk about Stone Cold and The Rock, right? And Steamboat and Ric Flair, right? You go back to like Hogan and whoever. I mean, everyone else, right? It's I think this has the potential to be really, really personal. And I think they can really do it well if both wrestlers really buy into it and they just feed into the hatred that they've already shown for each other. And if it's a work, it's a work. If it's real, it's real. But like, you take advantage of whatever that is and you push it into that fucking, you push it in to make the fans really feel it on both sides and make them pick who you want. Who do you want to be
Right.
successful?
And it's kind of crazy that here's a company where Seth has been beloved, like you said, and been the workhorse and been the guy that's built this championship and put on the shows for the last several years. And in walks CM Punk, and they're already drowning out Seth's song to sing. That's an indictment on the WWE fan. Bunch of idiots sometimes. So I agree that match, like that feud, has to take place. That's the great thing about Punk. There's so many there's so many great feuds that can come from. I mean, there's a huge history with him and John Cena, and John Cena is coming towards the end of his career. How much time does he have left? Cena and Punk, if it's going to be coming to a head, needs to happen maybe sooner rather than later. I don't think you need to pull the trigger on Seth Rollins right away, but you need to the seeds are planted already, and you need to start you need to start adding more, fertilizer to those seeds. You need to start making that story more.
And maybe that's the reason why he did not name
Seth
Rollins.
Right.
Because he's leaving it open-ended for the WWE universe. Hey, who could he be talking about, right? Like, and that's cool, and that's fine. Like, whatever it is fine with me. It's cool to see just this new entity enter the stage, and where is he going to go? That's the thing that's crazy about it. And honestly, if I may transition, unless you want to touch more on this.
Well, let's real quick before we transition. So, will we see Punk before Royal Rumble? I don't think we're going to see him fight, maybe in a tag match or something like that prior to Royal Rumble, but I don't think you get him until I'm going to say he's in the Royal Rumble. And I kind of would love to see, I still think that Drew is going to take the title off of Seth. If they're going to do the Seth thing, I mean, I kind of would like to see at the Rumble if they're playing and Punk comes out and he's doing well in the Rumble, and then Cena's music hits, and then you have Cena come out and they're face to face now, Cena and Punk, and somehow they get
Cena and Punk is an all-time rival. Is that what it is?
All-time rival. If you're going to watch a couple matches this weekend of Punk, the one you have to watch is 2011 Money in the Bank in Chicago. It was a title match between Punk and Cena. Meltzer gave it a 5-star match. The crowd is absolutely out of control for Punk. 2011, 2012, Pro Wrestling Insider named CM Punk the wrestler of the year for both of those years in all of professional wrestling. And then I just imagine Punk and Cena face to face, and everyone's like, holy shit. Like that kind of rivalry, everyone's talking about Seth right now, is kind of forgetting, like, man, these guys, this was it. Cena was the chosen one, was the guy, was the golden boy, and Punk was the anti-Cena, and that was their thing. And maybe they eliminate each other and they just don't stop. And the Rumble's going on, and 5-10 minutes later, it's like these guys are in the crowd still going at it, like can't separate them. These two are fighting. Like, you could do it with Seth too, but I would just love to see some like extended fight, and it's like these two have to blow it off the roof, and it's going to happen in Philadelphia at WrestleMania. Punk Cena, the final chapter, is what I would love to see. But obviously, a Seth Rollins would be great too.
Almost like a legacy match, right?
There's so much history between those two, and you could build off of that, and the promos will be incredible. Punk versus Cena, you get a whole lead into WrestleMania, and they're just going at each other.
And get me kind of fired up a little bit.
Dude, I'm telling you, it will be a freaking like, wow. Like that's WrestleMania main event without a belt even on the line. And then you can still play out the Judgment Day, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins stuff. And like, there's a lot of things that still have to go. Like, because CM Punk, can go with, because him and Paul Heyman have such huge ties, because so that could tie into Roman Reigns
Yeah,
eventually.
He mentions the wise man a couple times. Yeah.
In a promo, he mentions the Dream, Cody's dad. So there's definitely stuff there. I think those guys stay away from each other a lot. Also, it has to happen at WrestleMania eventually. Seth and Roman have to fight each other. Their story is so deep and so many layers with the Shield and the turn by Seth on the Shield and the history of them. Like, Seth and Roman haven't been near each other since their Royal Rumble match, basically 2 years ago. So there's so much stuff that can go, and CM Punk just like adds that extra character. I mean, I would love to see an AJ Styles go against him, because they were both indie guys that were together. And then like you can bring, and AJ Styles and him could still go, so like there's just so much.
This is what's crazy about the WWE right now and their stories is that there's nothing that, so everything that we thought was going to happen does not happen. It's like we had Drew joining the Judgment Day, right? Like that was like a big thing. Like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. And then we had like, Cody finishing the story, and then now it's taking a different change, right? And then like it's like the tag teams, like it's one thing after another, and we have no clue as to what's next, which is great in my opinion, because like it's just like when things become,
because then we get to talk about what might happen.
Well, I mean, we do, but you already have things already settled. You already know what's happening.
It's funny, as you're talking, I'm like, okay, well, Cody will win Elimination Chamber to face Roman Reigns. We'll have Seth versus Drew at WrestleMania. CM Punk versus John Cena at WrestleMania. We got. I'm like in my head. I'm like, this is how it can all work out.
My point is that when the WWE is predictable, it's not good, right? Like that.
Amen. You are 1,000%.
And we've been trying to predict it for 8 months on this show, Tom, and we have done a shitty job.
No way. I think we've done a decent job of it. I just think that
it's good. It's good that we've done a shitty job because we haven't got anything right.
Right. We still get surprised. Well, honestly, I think like when we predict the matches, I feel like we do a pretty good job of we pretty much nail what's going to happen. We haven't even thrown, like, I would love a Logan Paul CM Punk feud. Those two guys going on the mic and stuff like that. Like, that's down the line, but I'm just saying, like, there's so many things.
Yeah. So again, we have Logan Paul coming up on SmackDown on Friday. So he obviously is going to challenge somebody at some point, right? Or start a feud with somebody, because if he's holding the title, he's going to have to. He's not Roman Reigns. He's got to start challenging somebody, right? But like, there's so much other stuff, Tom, that's going on right now. Like we have this Drew McIntyre thing, right? Who is now, he's irked by Jey Uso, and he's pissed off with the bloodline, and like he's shifted his focus from being included with the Judgment Day to now what?
What's great, Tim? This is what's going to happen is we're now like right climbing that roller coaster. And when you think about it, there's not a ton of time until Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber. There's 2 months, which is probably what, eight episodes of each. So we got 16 episodes, and we really have no storylines set up for Royal Rumble.
Well, we do have one.
Cody's going to be in the Rumble. Is that what you're talking about?
No, Cody and Shinsuke.
Yeah. But so that could be something that's done prior. Well, we don't know. But so either way, we're about to go. We're at the top of that thing, and it's about like we're going to be getting a lot of a lot of things I think are going to start happening in the next month, and then boom, we're going to be rolling because they have so many things they have to answer. And it's like, who's going to be with this person? Who's going to be with that person? How's this going to let to they can set up 2 nights, 2 cards at WrestleMania in Philadelphia, and we're going to be there. All right. We talked about Randy Orton coming back. Do you have anything else you want to say about Randy Orton? I did want to play one clip from him.
Every week it's Rhea this, Rhea that, mommy this, mommy that, mommy this, mommy that. Well, guess what, Rhea? Daddy's back.
Just so great to have him, right?
It's just awesome, I sent a text to, I think, our line, the Jabroni Drive line, and I said, dude, what a breath of fresh air to have Randy come in and just deliver on every level. Like, he's obviously insane in the ring. Like, he's well respected amongst his peers, but like to give him a mic and just let him do his thing it was just awesome. And to see him with mommy, and it's not like mommy, like he's a veteran, right? Like he's not gonna fumble any of that shit. Like he's a professional, and he handled it incredibly. And it's just like, dude, I look at him and then I look at like a guy like Priest who just can't get out of the gates. And it's like, Jesus, man, like the difference is just incredible. And Randy Orton hasn't spoken on a mic in front of a WWE crowd in 18 months, and he can come out and deliver a promo like that. And Priest does it every fucking weekend, and he trips over it's just ridiculous, dude. So, welcome back, Randy Orton. Glad to have you. Happy you're here, and can't wait to watch it for the rest of your career, buddy.
And can't wait to see where your story is going to go. He'll be on SmackDown this week. Maybe they're going to set up him versus Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble. That would be a main event style match and something to look forward to. All right, let's get into these guys showed out. We had the tag team turmoil match, and these guys showed out this week, and they've been showing out super impressive. We're talking about the Creed brothers and what they've been able to do, how they've been able to impress. We've been calling for a split up of those tag titles. I'd love to see these guys get the tag titles.
No, we have not been calling for a split up of the tag titles. We've been calling for an addition of tag teams to the division. Why would we split up the titles?
I just feel like there should be a champ on one, a champ on the other, a little more emphasis, because then you get a team chasing on SmackDown. I think it would help SmackDown.
No, I disagree. Well, I mean, that's your opinion. My opinion is you keep the Universal titles and you just add to the tag team division. There's not many tag teams out there, and they're starting to put a lot more emphasis on the division. And that's when you get the Creed brothers, who are a breath of fresh air. They brought them up from NXT. They were down in NXT for however long, and then they probably said, hey, it's time to really bring somebody up and start challenging for this division. And they brought the Creed brothers up, and they've made an impact already. And what you saw on Monday night was the most impressive. And I can't even really state how impressive Julius Creed looked in that tag team turmoil match. This guy did, I think, 6 belly to back suplexes in a row.
Yeah, you know what? There is a clip. Do you want me to try and see if it is what you're talking about? Should I try playing it?
Fire it up.
Vinci now up on the shoulders of Julius. Here's Brutus Creed, top rope. Could this be the moment? Brutus ball again. And now into the cover, and a hook to the leg, and the Creed brothers win.
All right, that wasn't a thing, but it was when they won the.
Yeah, that was at the end, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Tom.
No, go ahead.
This match had me so fired up. Like, it was kind of a malaise match, right? Because like it's a long match, and they keep on bringing out tag team after tag team, and like you want the crowd to be into it, and it's tough to really engage like when not all four teams are coming out, right? It's like, oh man, like, all right, here's another team and another team, and they keep on coming out, and like you have to restart the match, right? So what Julius Creed does throughout to show off his strength was just the most impressive thing that I took from the entire show. He's done it like 3 or 4 times throughout the match where he just grips a guy up, whether it was it might have been Xavier
Xavier Woods.
Picks him up just from like a standing position, gets him up into like some sort of power bomb, and like power bombs him, and then he does it to Vinci, he does it to Kaiser. Like he is unbelievably strong, and he shows off his skills, and it's really just super impressive from an individual on a tag team. And then his partner, what's his brother's name?
I don't know. I was just looking up Julius real quick. Shoot, what is his name?
Regardless, his brother is built like Big E. He's just a
Brutus,
who's just like a stud. And these guys are starting to take the tag team division by storm, and it's cool to see. And I think these guys are the next wave, man. Like they are now the number 1 contenders for the Universal titles. I really hope they don't split up the titles. I really don't. I know that's your prediction.
I wouldn't mind if even they combined them and just made it one belt. I'm tired of them carrying around 2 belts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Either combine them or split them up is basically where I'm at.
That's fine. Like I like that if you just want to carry around 1 belt and say it's a Universal title, but like it was.
And then too, say that if you are the tag team champ and there's only 1 belt, that once you become tag team champs, you're available on both brands. You can be on SmackDown, you can be on Raw. I know they don't really, but like do something like that.
Yeah, I just don't like. It was fine when the Usos were the Universal champs. They could carry around all the belts for 3 years. But now all of a sudden when they lose the belts, now they have to split them up again. Like, I don't like that. I hate that. I hate that whole process. So let these guys shine in the light for a little bit. And I think this might be an opportunity for the Creed brothers to take over those tag team titles, which means the Judgment Day loses them, which means that you can separate
Priest
from the Judgment Day. And that's what needs to happen, in my opinion.
Right. And there was alluding to the split up, but a little background too on Julius Creed. Both of the Creed brothers wrestled in college and were really good collegiate athletes. Brutus was actually the number 1 ranked wrestler. Yeah. Oh, a little Christmas smell going on there. You're hitting it again. You're addicted to that stuff. But so he was actually the number 1 ranked wrestler at his weight class in college, but unfortunately the tournament was canceled due to COVID in 2000. And Julius wrestled at Duke University and set the record for most wins in a regular season amongst for any Duke wrestler, in his 2nd most all time, and was a 3-time All-American, which is really impressive. Finished 5th at the Olympic trials. These guys have a great wrestling background and are obviously amazing athletes. All right, so Damian Priest.
You know our feelings about COVID canceling wrestling competitions.
You know what happens? You know what happens when you cancel a wrestling competition because of COVID? You know what happens when you're going to say, hey, we're not going to have this competition because of a COVID variant? Do you know what happens to people that say there will be no wrestling tournament because of a COVID?
You
just made the list.
I was just going to say dumb.
All right. Damian Priest addresses the Judgment Day losing at War Games. Let's hear what he had to say.
You appointed me the leader of War Games, right? and I let everybody down. I lost the match. I embarrassed us. So go ahead. Get it off your chest. I know you want to say something.
I don't want to say nothing. You need
Yeah,
to relax.
you do.
No,
you want to say something too. Do them because I know you guys want to say something.
Priest, look. The Judgment Day, we're a family. We all rise together and we all fall together. Isn't that right, boys?
That's right, Rhea. Hey, it's one loss. No sweat. We're still the undisputed tag team champions. Relax.
Tranquilo, hermano. It's all good.
Is that real?
All right. So it's still leading, and they're still that split will happen eventually. And
what a promo by Priest right there.
If they keep it going correctly, I really feel like that's going to be an epic moment at a PLE. And I would love for it to be him trying to cash in. They turn and McIntyre joins and wins the title. And then Seth gets that chase. I know there's a lot of talk with CM Punk now, but I still feel like that storyline should play out. But we'll see what will happen. And like we said, that's the beauty of Punk coming back. Who knows what's going to happen? But let's talk about that McIntyre Seth Rollins promo. I thought that was an incredible promo. We've been talking about it for weeks. Drew McIntyre is putting on a masterclass, a clinic in how to be a professional wrestling, cut promos in the ring, behind the scenes, the whole deal, the look, the acting. Drew McIntyre is at the peak of his career right now. He gives a headbutt to Seth, and the blood just starts coming out of his forehead right away. Like, whoa, what just happened? We've got two big lineups, and he was speaking truth. How is Jey Uso ahead of me for a championship match when I just beat him last week? What sense does that make? Are you trying to screw me? Is this his paranoia is really taking over? That character, that turn is really, really developing well. It's been a nice slow burn. I think they're kind of swerving us away from him joining the Judgment Day just yet, and I think it's going to happen. Timmy, two big matches signed up for next week. Seth announces he'll be fighting Jey Uso for a championship, and Drew McIntyre goes in the back, runs into Sami Zayn, and says he's going to be fighting Sami Zayn next week. I'm really looking forward to those matches. What did you think of these promos, and what do you think of these matches that are lined up for next week?
Yeah, I like what is happening with Drew. Because there's no real clear-cut path for him. He's just all over the place, and it's a testament to him, but it's also a testament to everybody else that's around him. I mean, they're putting him in situations where he has to make decisions, and he's doing a good job of selling whatever story he's given, right? So like, it's not like he's fully buying into the Judgment Day, and he gets out and he does a promo about how, if you don't know me, you know, if you're a Drew McIntyre fan, you know that, yeah, I wouldn't do that, right? And then like all of a sudden, like he just goes crazy and he gets pissed off. He wants to shake Seth Rollins' hand for having a good match, and then all of a sudden he loses his shit. It's like the dude's kind of losing his mind right now on what he wants to do. And it's building a lot of clout with his character. I love that. The Sami Zayn match is obviously a product of that whole story. But what interests me a lot is what Randy Orton said about the bloodline. And I know I'm pivoting off of what you asked me.
Do it.
But so with with Seth gives obviously Jey a title shot. Randy Orton's mindset is, hey, I got receipts on the bloodline. I need to go after the bloodline. I'm wondering how like how all this stuff like kind of ties in together. And again, this is something that I said earlier about, like, right now, I have no idea where the WWE is going with all these storylines, right? Like, it's like everyone is kind of up in the air, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, it's like, fuck, I want to see some development. And we'll see that soon, but it's just like adding two major stars like Randy Orton and like CM Punk into the fold really kind of mixes things up. And you're like, man, like what else can happen here? And we haven't even gotten to SmackDown yet, right? So, I mean, I love where it's headed. I just
Well,
think
real
there's gonna
quick,
be
Randy was in the back and he ran into Jey Uso. Jey apologized for the stuff he did. Randy says, "You in the bloodline anymore?" He said, "No." He said, "Well, then we're all good." Now, Randy Orton's one of his nicknames is the Viper. He's a snake. You know, he can strike at any time. I would be wary of, "Oh yeah, we're all good, man. Don't worry about it." I could totally see this next week on Raw. Jay's got a shot at that title. Out comes Randy, RKO out of nowhere. There's that receipt, brother. We're all good, you know?
right. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm wondering if he factors into this whole situation. It's cool. It's like it's a really interesting time right now with like creative. And if you're in creative in WWE, you have to be like salving. Like, man, I can drum up some stories right now and they could get real interesting. And it's really a good time to be being one close to Royal Rumble, right? And close to an opportunity to wrestle at WrestleMania. So if you're going to be, as you said before, this is the time to shine, right? Like CM Punk comes into the fold. Hey, dude, like right now, I got to be at my best if I'm going to have a slate on that card at WrestleMania in Philadelphia. I need to be at my best. And I think you're going to start seeing a lot of that out of all these wrestlers in the next couple months here.
Right. And they're going to be reaching for that brass ring. So Randy billed to be at SmackDown this weekend. Roman Reigns, where does he tie into all this? Is Randy Orton? I think he's got to be the front runner for Roman's opponent at Royal Rumble, Randy Orton. That's who I would place my bet on right now. When will Roman be back, and where do you see a storyline going with him?
Do you see him coming back this Friday?
He hasn't been in. They would announce him, wouldn't they? Yeah, they would. I would say they would announce him. I would love for him to just show up. Oh man, the Tribal Chief's here. Like up pulls a limo, outsteps Roman Reigns. Oh man, the Tribal Chief's here. But I feel like it's something they would announce because they always announce when Roman's going to be there.
Yeah.
But maybe this is a new time and they announce Randy's there to get the views. Randy's going to be there. Logan Paul's going to be there. All right, we've got our views coming in. Let's drop a bomb on him with Roman. I would love that.
Doubt it's going to happen, but I can't really figure out an opponent for Roman yet until they give me some sort of like breadcrumb, because I mean, I don't know where it's going to be. LA Knight's kind of been out of the fold for a little while, right? Like he's almost like an afterthought right now with everything else that's been going on.
KO, another one.
KO. Dude, I mean,
Bobby Lashley,
Elias,
Ezekiel.
I don't know where it goes. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. I mean, that's why I'm so dumbfounded as to where this all goes, because there's so many different angles that you can go in, and like all the angles that we thought were going to take place have not. So it's we're on a clean slate right now, Tom.
Yeah. Wipe the slate clean. Let's get these stories. And Timmy, we're on a clean slate with our listeners out there. We appreciate you. We appreciate you listening and getting this far. And if you're here and you haven't already done it, make sure to hit that subscribe, that follow, that like, that share. All podcast platforms and YouTube. Jabroni Drive. Probably the greatest wrestling show in any wrestling show going right now. I can't imagine a show hotter than ours right now. Timmy, can you?
Piper's Pit's been pretty hot.
Piper Niven's pit?
No. Ugh.
All right. We're looking forward to SmackDown and Raw next week. We'll be covering it all next week on Jabroni Drive. Thank you for listening. Timmy, anything you want to say to all the Schmidt and Lavellites out there before we sign off?
Can you dig it, sucker?
We dig it and we dig you. Till next week, my name's Tom Lavelle for Timothy Schmidt. Have a great rest of your weekend. God bless you. God bless America. God bless Jabroni Drive.